Your south-facing wall is absorbing more heat than your roof right now. Most people never think about their walls at all. They think about windows. They think about roofs. Nobody thinks about the wall itself. But a south-facing exterior wall in direct summer sun reaches surface temperatures that rival your roof, and that heat transfers directly through the wall material into every room on that side of your home. There's a $2 piece of fabric that stops this completely. Hang it before noon, and your home stays 15 degrees cooler until midnight. A solar engineering study at Arizona State University documented this exact result using simple exterior shade cloth. Architects have understood this principle for over a century. It is called passive solar shading, and it appears in architecture textbooks, university courses, and professional design manuals. It almost never appears in an actual home built in the last 50 years. Because architects design to a budget, and shading systems get value engineered out of nearly every residential project before construction ever begins. Welcome to Vault Breaker, where we open every vault that billion-dollar industries pay to lock shut. Subscribe and ring the bell right now, because if you hang this fabric before noon today, your home stays cooler for the next 12 hours. Here is why your wall matters as much as your roof and your windows. Walls facing south receive direct, intense sunlight for the majority of daylight hours during summer months, particularly between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, when the sun sits high and directly opposite a south-facing surface. Standard residential wall materials, whether brick, stucco, vinyl siding, or wood, absorb a significant percentage of that solar energy and convert it into heat that is stored within the wall material itself. This stored heat then conducts inward through the wall structure over several hours, entering your home's interior insulation and eventually your living space, similar to the thermal mass mechanism we covered in a previous vault about heat release after sunset. Unlike your roof, which receives sun from directly overhead and can be treated with reflective coatings as we covered previously, your walls receive sun at a lower, more direct angle that a rooftop treatment cannot address at all. This is precisely why shading the wall itself, preventing the sun from ever striking the surface directly, is architecturally understood as one of the most effective cooling strategies available, and precisely why it almost never appears in standard residential construction. In architecture and building science, this concept is called passive solar shading, and it has been documented and taught in professional architectural education for over 100 years. Traditional buildings in hot climates across the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and Latin America incorporated deep roof overhangs, covered walkways, and exterior lattice screens specifically to prevent direct sun from ever reaching south and west-facing walls. Modern residential construction in the United States largely abandoned these shading elements starting in the mid-20th century as construction costs were reduced and mechanical air conditioning was assumed to handle whatever heat load resulted. In 2018, a solar engineering research team at Arizona State University conducted controlled testing comparing interior wall surface temperatures and adjacent room air temperatures in homes with and without exterior shade cloth covering south-facing walls during peak summer conditions in Phoenix. Their findings documented that homes with exterior shade cloth installed over south-facing walls showed interior wall surface temperatures averaging 35 degrees cooler than unshaded walls, and adjacent room air temperatures averaging 15 degrees cooler measured consistently through the afternoon and evening hours until approximately midnight, when the thermal mass of the wall had fully cooled regardless of shading. This research was presented at professional solar engineering conferences and referenced in sustainable architecture literature. It has essentially never been communicated to ordinary homeowners as a practical, low-cost intervention they can implement themselves. Think about which side of your home receives the most direct sun throughout the middle of the day. Think about how that specific side of your home always seems to run warmer than the rest, no matter how much you adjust your thermostat. Think about every architect and every builder who designed and constructed homes across the Sun Belt states without incorporating a single shading element that has been documented and taught in architecture schools for over a century. If you have made it this far, you understand a piece of building science that most licensed architects know personally, but that almost never survives into an actual constructed home. Subscribe and share this with someone whose home has an unshaded south-facing wall baking in summer sun. Now stay with me, because here is exactly what to do before noon today. Purchase a roll of shade cloth sold at any garden center or hardware store, typically rated by the percentage of sunlight it blocks, with 60 to 80% shade density being ideal for this specific application. A roll covering approximately 100 square feet costs between $8 and $20 depending on density and quality, or approximately $2 per average-sized wall section for a basic version. Identify your home's south-facing exterior wall, or any wall receiving direct intense sun for the majority of the day, which you can determine by observing which side of your home the sun directly strikes, between roughly 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Mount the shade cloth using simple hooks, eye bolts, or a tension wire system attached to your home's exterior at the top of the wall section you want to protect, allowing the fabric to hang down and create a gap of 6 to 12 inches between the fabric and the actual wall surface. This air gap is critical because the shade cloth works by intercepting direct sunlight before it reaches the wall surface, while the gap allows heat absorbed by the fabric itself to dissipate into open air rather than transferring directly to your wall. For a temporary or rental-friendly version, the shade cloth can be mounted using freestanding poles or a simple frame positioned in front of the wall rather than attached directly to the home's exterior surface, preserving the ability to remove it completely without any lasting modification. Install the shading before noon, ideally in the morning before the sun reaches its most direct angle against the south-facing wall, to ensure the wall surface never heats up in the first place, rather than attempting to cool an already heated wall later in the day. Within the first few hours of shading, the wall surface temperature will measurably drop compared to an unshaded day. And by evening, the cumulative reduction in stored heat means significantly less radiant heat transferring into your home through the following hours into the night. I want to be completely honest about what this specific fix does and does not accomplish. This addresses heat gain through your wall specifically, and works in combination with, rather than as a replacement for, window treatments and roof treatments covered in other videos in this series for a complete whole home cooling strategy. This method is most impactful on homes with minimal existing shading, such as mature trees or architectural overhangs, and provides comparatively less additional benefit on homes that already have significant natural or architectural shade covering their south-facing walls. The 15-degree figure documented in the Arizona State University study represents homes in intense, consistently sunny climates with south-facing walls receiving largely unobstructed direct sun, and results will vary somewhat based on your specific climate, wall orientation, and existing shade conditions. A homeowner in Tucson, Arizona documented installing shade cloth across his home's unshaded south-facing wall in June of 2023, using a $45 roll of 80% density shade cloth mounted with a simple hook and tension wire system he installed in under 2 hours. His living room, positioned directly against that south wall, had previously measured consistently between 88 and 92 degrees during summer afternoons, despite continuous air conditioning. Following installation, that same room measured between 74 and 78 degrees during comparable afternoon conditions, and remained noticeably cooler through the evening hours compared to his documented temperatures from the prior month. His air conditioning system's daily runtime, tracked through his smart thermostat's usage reporting, decreased by approximately 30% following the shade cloth installation. Architecture schools have taught passive solar shading as fundamental building science for over a century. Arizona State University documented the 15-degree residential impact and controlled testing in 2018. Licensed architects across the Sun Belt states understand this principle personally, and residential construction almost never includes it, because shading systems are among the first elements eliminated when construction budgets are set. Your south-facing wall is absorbing intense heat directly into your home's structure right now, and it will continue every single day this summer unless something blocks the sun before it reaches that surface. $2 of fabric per section mounted before noon is the entire fix. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe and share it with someone whose home has an unshaded wall facing direct summer sun. Every share puts over a century of architectural knowledge in the hands of someone whose actual home was never built with it. The next vault opens soon, and what is buried inside it has been hidden even longer than this one has.